a specific time. So you can see we have 4 clauses in this definition. Each clause is going to lead us to a discussion related to zakah. So keep these 4 clauses in mind. Again, an obligatory right due, taken from specific wealth, given to specific people at a specific time. This is the technical definition of zakah. Let's start with the first clause. An obligatory right due. These are rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made obligatory upon the one who has certain conditions, as we will see. Is an obligatory right, a certain amount that is obligatory you have to give, a certain percentage that you have to give from your wealth. And this percentage will differ based on which type of asset zakah is due upon. So we'll find sometimes you have to pay 2.5%, sometimes you have to pay 5%, sometimes you have to pay 10%, sometimes you have to pay 20%. It depends on the type of asset zakah is due. This is an obligatory right that is due. This is clause number 1. Clause number 2, an obligatory right due, taken from specific wealth. Taken from specific wealth. This leads us to the next issue in zakah. What are the zakatable assets? What are the types of wealth you have to pay zakat on? You have to pay zakat on everything that you own? All your wealth you have to pay zakat on? Hey, shabab. You guys too young to have money aslan, huh? You don't have money aslan? Few people don't pay zakat at all. From them are, young students and college students. Also imams, because we never have enough money to pay zakat. Some people don't pay zakat. I know. But by the way, this is something, we teach them all these things in college and high school. One of the things they should learn is, financial responsibility and financial matters. In worldly matters, how to pay their taxes and how to, do people still balance checkbooks? How to balance your checkbook and these things. But also, things relate to zakah. And some things, especially these college students who are about to graduate, they're applying for jobs. These are things they're going to get their first paychecks. They're going to have to pay zakah, Just so you guys know now. You guys in high school or college? High school? This is badri, huh? What are the zakatable assets? Do you pay zakat on everything that you own? All your wealth is zakatable? What are the zakatable assets, ya mashayikh? Gold and silver, good. What else? Cash, tayyib. What else? We'll get to nisab. That's from the shurut. We're talking about just the assets. The types of amwal. Amwal zakawiyya. Okay, that's entered into cash. And so I'm talking about like categories. Okay, we said number 1, gold, silver, cash. That's one category of currency. Tayyib. What else? Ish? What'd you say? Real estate? So that's if you're selling it, like trading goods, yeah. So we have a second category of urud tijara, trading goods. Depending whatever you're selling, it could be real estate, it could be you have a butcher shop, it could be you have a merchandise store, whatever you're selling. If you're selling something, right, then this is urud tijara, trading goods. That's a second category. Good. So we said cash, grain, cash, gold, silver. That's one category of currency. Number 2, we said trading goods. By the way, what is the definition of trading good? A trading good, for it to be a trading good, is something that you bought with the intention of selling it and making a profit. This is important. When I bought this iPhone, I bought it with the intention, I know from the beginning, I'm buying it to sell it to make a profit. Then it becomes urud tijara. That's when it becomes zakatable. But if I bought it for my own use, and then later on I change my mind and say now I want to sell it, it's not considered urud tijara. You don't pay zakat on it every year, according to the vast majority of scholars. So here, it has to have had that intention of buying it to sell it from the beginning with the intention of making that profit. That's what we mean by this category of urud tijara. That could be anything. It could be cars, it could be homes, it could be whatever. And the default is that which you use, you don't pay zakat on. You use your phone, you use your car, you live in your house, you don't pay zakat on that. But if I bought these things with the intention of selling it, then it becomes the second category we just mentioned of merchandise. Make sense? Trading goods. So we said currency, we said trading goods. What else? What else are the zakatable assets? Livestock, good. Livestock, very good. Which animals? Huh? Poultry? Do we pay zakat on poultry? Camels, cows, and sheep. Good. Just those 3 categories. So other animals you don't pay zakat. Good. And usually people don't know this unless you live in a farm city. Some cities I don't bring up, cattle and the like. But some cities I go to, like we have some cities that I know everyone is involved in cattle and involved with agriculture and stuff, so we have to bring it up. Also, the fourth category, that which comes from the ground. Those things which come out of the ground. So that will include grains and fruit, precious metals, minerals, treasure troves, and some of the ulama included honey as well. So these things, grains and fruit, things that you grow, right, agriculture. It will include also precious metals that you find, right, precious metals, minerals, right. We can also even include petroleum in there. Treasure troves, if you find a treasure, if you're digging in your backyard or something, you find a treasure, right? And honey, some ulama included honey. Good. These are the four categories of zakatable assets. Who can tell me again without looking at? You guys aren't. Who can tell me without me having to remind them? Huh? Quickly, four categories. Okay. Aywa. Trading goods, good. Good. Aywa. Mumtaz, mashallah. So these are the four types of zakatable assets. Anything else, you don't have to pay zakat. You don't have to pay zakat on your things that you use every day, what you wear, what you drive. All these things you don't have to pay zakat. We said our definition. An obligatory right, we talked about that. Taken from specific wealth, we talked about that. Number 3, given to specific people. Given to specific people. This leads us now to the next topic of zakah, which is, who are the zakah recipients? Who can we give zakat to? Can I give zakat to anyone? No, there's certain people that we have specific instructions from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whom we can give zakat to. Which surah are they spelled out in? Good, mumtaz. How many categories are there? 8. Who are the 8? Who can tell me? Start with 1. You got the easiest one, right? The poor, good. Huh? Who else? Good. Those who are assigned to collect the zakat collect. Huh? I can't hear you. Orphans. Orphans are not a category in and of themselves, but if they're included in one of these other ones, they would be included. So they could be poor because they're orphans. What else? Needy. So poor and needy. Okay, these are 2 separate categories. We'll talk about the difference between them. Faqir and Miskeen. We'll talk about the difference. We have 3 now so far. What else? Those in debt, that's 4. Who else? What else? Yes, those, the wayfarer, good, that's 5. Anything else? We mentioned debt, right? We mentioned those in debt. 5, what else? No, not you. You can answer the question. Relatives? No, relatives are not a category by themselves unless they fall into one of these categories. We'll talk about which relatives can you give, because you can't give to every relative. Right? So quickly, the poor, the needy, the zakat collectors, those whose hearts may be reconciled, right? Those whose hearts may be reconciled, freeing slaves and captives, okay? Those in debt, those in the path of Allah, and the wayfarer. Who can tell me those 8 again without having to remind them? You mentioned you got 4. Can you do the 8? The 4, the needy. Slave. Aywa. Aywa, good. 5. Aywa, 6. Good. 7. 1 more. It's actually really good, Allah. Just from hearing it the first time. MashaAllah, Shafi'i memory, MashaAllah. So let's go through them one by one. The poor and the needy. What's the difference between the poor and the needy? The ulama, they differed, but we'll just give you one simple definition. A poor person is someone who has less than 50% of what he and his family and his dependents need. Him and his dependents, you and your family. Let's say in 1 year, I need a salary of $60,000. I don't know if that's enough here in the tri-state area. Well, let's say $60,000, definitely not enough in California. Well, let's say $60,000 is all I need for me and my family, my kids, my wife, and so on. But I only make $20,000 a year, like most imams. I only make $20,000 a year. Would I be considered what? A faqir. Why? I have less than half of what I need, me and my family. The miskin, what? How much would he need to be considered a miskin? The one who makes half of what he needs or more, but less than 100%. So the faqir is from less than 50% down, and the miskin is someone who's 50 or more, half or more, but less than 100. So in our example, I need 60,000 for me and my family. I have a salary of 40,000 a year. That's more than half, but less than 100% of what I need. I'm considered what? Yeah, so poor and needy. These are two separate categories. This person, how much do we give him from the zakah? We give him from the zakah enough. The ulama different. We'll just say one opinion. We give him zakah enough for him and his family for 1 year. So let's say I make $40,000. I need 60,000 for the year. How much would we give him from zakah? $20,000. Make sense? So this is the poor and the needy. طيب. Number 3, the zakat collectors. Zakat collectors. The zakat collectors, they are those who have been assigned by the state to collect the zakah. The zakat collectors, when we collect zakah, the imam of the Muslims, the leader of the Muslims, the government, he has a ministry, if you will, a department that collects zakah. He has a bureau of zakah. So he sends out the people. You're going to record the zakah, you're going to collect it, you're going to store it, you're going to count it, you're going to distribute it. We have a whole department, a ministry, a bureau related to zakat affairs. These people are in this category of called zakat collectors. They are also given from the zakah. Number 4, those whom their hearts may be reconciled. And this is a category, the ulama differ, does it still exist or not? Inshallah, we say it still does exist. So some people, if we give them from the zakah, we have maybe some non-Muslims, for example, whom if they see generosity from the Muslims, a non-Muslim, oh, mashallah, he's giving me this money, he's being generous with me, this may soften their hearts and maybe they will accept Islam. So these are people that fall in this category, those whom their hearts may be softened. Or people who are already accepted Islam but they have weak iman, but when they see the support of the Muslims financially helping them and the like, this will strengthen their iman. This category is a different upon one, but inshallah we'll say it's a category that still exists. And the ulama differed over its details, but we'll just keep it at that for now. So this is a people who in this group who are given also from the zakah. Number 5, we said the slaves and the captives. So if there are slaves, we can free them. We can free them from the zakah. Okay? And also, if we have captives, the Muslims are taken captive as prisoners somewhere, and this happens now in Muslim world with enemies of Islam. They take Muslims as captives. We can pay their ransom. We can pay their ransom, their price, to free the prisoners and the captives of Islam. Number 6, those in debt. And those in debt are of two types. Those who are in debt because they are just buying halal stuff. You know, I'm buying, things that I need, and I have debts I got to pay. I have bills. That's one type of people in debt. You can give them from the zakat to help pay their debt. And number 2, the one who stepped in to reconcile between two parties that differed over a financial issue, and he took a debt upon himself to reconcile between them. So for example, me and you are in a dispute. I say, you owe me $10,000. Another person, I don't owe you any money. There's a dispute between us in finances. So Shaykh Ahmed comes in and says, I'll take that, I'll pay it, I'll take care of it so I can reconcile between you. So he took a debt upon himself to reconcile between people who are in conflict over money. So this also we can give him from the zakah. Again, there's differences of opinion, but we'll just keep it at that. Number 6, or number 7, afwan, the wayfarer. The one who's on a journey, right? He's on a journey and he runs out of money in the middle of his journey. So we can give him from the zakah so he can complete his journey or get back home. Right? He's traveling, and I've actually seen this happen. I didn't give him from zakah, I gave him from sadaqah. But this actually happened and I did it. It's the first time I ever saw the wayfarer in real life. There was a person I knew, him and his wife were traveling from, was it Minnesota or something on the East Coast, California. And they were poor and they ran out of money. And they couldn't afford a flight ticket. And I think they barely could have put together some money for a bus. They were going to have to take a bus for how many days it takes from East Coast to West Coast. So this is the first time in my life I'll ever be able to help a wayfarer. So I booked a ticket for him and his wife. and I flew them from Minnesota or New York, whatever it was, to California. Muhim yani, back then, of course, it was probably much more probable. You'd run out of money in the middle of the road, right? It's not easy here. You can just use a credit card. Back now, we have a credit card. You call a phone, someone wires you money. They didn't have that back then. So someone could run out of money in the middle of the way, and what do we do? He can't complete his journey, nor can he get back home. So this person is given from the zakat to complete his journey. And finally, the one I keep last, because this one needs a little explanation, is the one of in the path of Allah. In the path of Allah. Taban, this is a controversial one specifically in modern times, because how wide are we going to make the circle of in the path of Allah. Who are we going to include in this category? So in the path of Allah, the default is that these are the people in the military. These are the people in the military who volunteer to fight in the military. They're not hired as a job, that this is their job as an official soldier that gets a salary. No, these are volunteers in the military who don't have a salary from the government. Okay, they are volunteer soldiers in the army, in the Muslim government, Muslim army, Muslim country. So here, these people, that's the default, that people in the path of Allah are those fighting in the Muslim army. And some ulama, they expanded it to the fard, hajj, and umrah. Because it's come in the hadith that this is your way in the path of Allah, right? Which is to complete the hajj, right? Have a accept the hajj. So here, this is khalas, within the realm of the non-disputable categories. Like, what about other categories? What also is concluded in the path of Allah? We have a small minority of scholars, very small minority of scholars, who made it much more flexible. And so we also, in the path of Allah, with the tongue and with the pen and giving da'wah and anything that leads to, right? Leads to the issue of spreading the deen of Allah and teaching the deen of Allah and supporting the deen of Allah. They made it much more flexible. They made it much more flexible. So that would mean, can I give zakat to masjids? Can I give zakat to MSAs? Right? Can I give zakat to chaplaincy programs? Can I give zakat to this? They expanded it, Islamic schools. They say this all is under the path of Allah. It's all supporting Islam and spreading Islam and preserving Islam, keeping our kids upon Islam, raising a generation of Muslims to teach Islam and spread it. And we need the masajid in the non-Muslim countries. And so this is a small minority. This is not the majority positions at all. This is not a mainstream position at all. The people who even said it throughout Islamic history, you could count them in maybe a few fingers. There are very few. But it was said. And at one point in time, it was said. And the only reason I bring it up is because this is now the popular position in the West that many of the fiqh councils have taken, because they say we live in the West. We don't have a ministry of endowment like in Muslim countries. Right? In Muslim countries, there's Wazarat al-Awqaf. There's a ministry of endowment or a ministry of Islamic affairs that they spend the money to build the masjids and build the schools and build the Islamic universities. And here we don't. And so if we rely only on the zakah of the Muslims, the sadaqah of the Muslims, it may not be enough. So sometimes we need to also take from their zakah. So many contemporary ulama and many fiqh councils, especially in the West, have allowed this. So this is where you may have heard this. When anyone is ever giving a fundraiser, they always say, and we are zakah eligible. We are zakah eligible. Where is that coming from? It's coming from this minority position. From this minority position. Make sense? I'm not telling you what is right or wrong. I'm just telling you where this is coming from. These are the 8 categories of zakah recipients. So we said, from the definition of zakah, we've talked about an obligatory right. These are the percentages you have to pay. We talked about it. Taken from specific wealth. These are zakatable assets. We talked about it. Given to specific people. These are zakah recipients. We talked about it. Finally, the fourth thing in the definition, at a specific time. Zakah is given at a specific time. And this alludes to, ya mashayikh, to the last issue we want to talk about in the theoretical concept of zakah, which is the shurut, the conditions for zakat to be obligatory. There are certain conditions for zakat to be obligatory. Does everyone have to pay zakah? No. Only some people that have certain conditions. What are those conditions? Quickly. Number 1, you are free. Right? Slaves in general don't pay zakah. We don't have slaves, don't worry about it. Number 2, Islam. The kuffar, they don't pay zakah. Muslims pay zakah. Slave. Number 3, the nisab. As someone had mentioned the nisab around. I was saying that's going to come in the shurut. The minimum threshold. You pay zakah on any amount that you have. In general, it has to have a certain amount. You'll find that some assets you'll pay zakah on any amount that you have. But in general, you need to have a certain amount before you have to pay zakah on it. If I have $10 in my pocket, that's all I have. Do I have to pay zakah on it? No. I have to have reached a certain amount, a minimum threshold, for which zakah then becomes obligatory upon. Right? This is called the nisab. The minimum amount is going to differ based on the type of asset from the 4 categories we talked about. So, for gold, what is the minimum nisab of gold? I'm talking about in grams of gold right now. We'll convert it to dollars in a second. 20 what? No, be careful. You're the number is right, but the unit is wrong. The unit is wrong, but the number is right. 20 mithqals is not 20 grams. That's different. If you guys want to go mithqals in dinars, I'm happy to, but I'm trying to keep it modern so they don't think we live in the old ages. So grams, yani. How many grams is 20 mithqal? You're getting close. It's 85 grams of gold. 85 grams of pure 24 karat gold. Right? 85 grams of gold. I want to know how much that is. So look at the zakat due date. Today, let's say today's zakat is due. I look in the market price, how much is a gram of gold? And I multiply that. I get the worth of 85 grams of gold. Someone want to check how much 85 grams of gold is due today? Market price. I'm surprised the sisters don't know. I'm sure they have the price of gold top of their head yet. Especially when you go to Umrah, right? Umrah, you go to the Umrah shops around the Haram. All sisters bargaining with the shopkeepers on the gold, right? Cam? 5,500? Oh, it's expensive. 5,500, 85 grams, that's the nisab. What about silver? What is the nisab of silver for grams? It's 595 grams of silver. Let's look up the nisab of silver now. And I want you to compare between the prices. $62? That's it? Really? No, 595 grams. Around 400 something dollars, right? We went from $5,000 to $400. What does that tell you? The value of silver is what? Much less than gold now, right? Back in the day, gold and silver in the time of the Prophet ﷺ early on, they used to be close in value. And then the value of silver started to drop, right? Gold was much more valuable then than silver. So now this brings up a question. If the nisab of gold is that much and the nisab of silver is this much, when we want to calculate now the nisab for cash money, which one do we use? Do we use the gold value standard or do we use the silver standard? The ulama, they differed on this. So some said we go with gold, some said we go with silver, but inshallah the position we're going to give you is use what is more beneficial to the poor. Use either of the two that is more beneficial to the poor. Like, what would be more beneficial to the poor? Calculated with gold or silver? Oh, the fuqaha had different here, mashallah. Some of them said gold, some of them silver. So the one who said gold, why do you say gold? Faqih, mashallah. This is faqih right here. Look at this istinbat yani from the ahkam. Look at him, mashallah. Because if the nisab is much less, then more people will qualify for zakah, more people will pay zakah, so more money will go to the poor, more beneficial to the poor. So this is the general fatwa we give. So we said the nisab is 25 or something? $425. So if you have a minimum of $425 or more, then that is the nisab, then you pay zakah on cash money or gold or silver. That's all one category. Make sense? So that's nisab. So we said the nisab is going to be different based on the type of zakatable asset you're paying zakat on. So for cattle, for example, for sheep, right? What is the nisab of sheep? No sheep in New Jersey, huh? How many sheep? So I'm being very relevant. You don't know? 40, good. The nisab is 40. The nisab for sheep is 40 sheep. The point is, what I'm trying to give you is every type of asset that we talked about from the four categories has a different nisab. Like this is condition number one. Condition number three, we said you're free, that you're Muslim, you have the nisab. Mumtaz. Number four, the fourth condition, is that you have complete ownership over that wealth. Complete control over that wealth. Like, what does that mean? That this wealth is not connected to someone else's right. That they could come and take it from you at any time. That you don't have the ability to do what you want with it at any time anyway. I want to keep it, I want to gift it, I want to sell it, I want to eat it, I want to destroy it, I want to burn it, right? Of course, you shouldn't waste wealth. But the example I'm trying to give you is that you can do whatever you want. No one else has control over that wealth. You are the only one that has complete control. So a modern example of this is the issue of 401k. How so? Because 401k, you cannot access your 401k completely free to do what you want with it until a certain age of retirement, right? But until you're 50 or 60 or whatever, for most of your life, if you try to access your 401k, you're going to be hit with penalties and taxes. You cannot access unrestricted. You don't have complete control over that wealth. That led to some ulama, we'll talk about 401ks in a moment, but that led to some ulama to say there's no zakah on 401k. Because they said you don't have tamamul milk. You don't have complete control over the wealth, right? And so that is a modern example of this condition. A more classical example is if a woman is married and you give her the mahr, and then a divorce occurs. In some circumstances, she only gets half the mahr, not the full mahr. Like, when you gave her the mahr, you gave her the dowry, right? And then, before consummation, we don't want to get into details, but before consummation, right, if there was a divorce that occurred, she gets how much of the dowry? She gets half only, not the full. She would get the full if there was consummation of the marriage. Before that, you gave her the full amount. Okay, here's the full amount. I don't know how much do women get dowry these days. The price has gone up. You've seen these YouTube videos, Shaykh Ahmed, the TikTok ones that they keep asking sisters, how much is your mahr? They ask her that with the same pronunciation, because I remember this video. How much is your mahr? And then the sisters, mashallah, I don't know who she thinks she is. But she's like, my mahr is $80,000, Sharif Lamborghini SUV, yearly umrah, guaranteed. And there was some apartment on some water beachfront, Sharif. And this video keeps coming up, and I say, who do you think you are, and who's your father, Yani? That you deserve all of that, yeah. The Queen of Sheba, Yani, who are you? And Muhim, yeah. And Muhim, let's say this woman, mashallah, she got someone to agree to give her $80,000 mahr. But okay, they got married, just the nikah. Okay, he gave her the $80,000. Potentially, she might have to give back how much? $40,000. That means for $40,000 of that $80,000, she doesn't have complete control over it, because technically it could be taken away from her, because there's still connection to someone else's right. Make sense? So you wouldn't pay zakah on that money that could be gone, could be taken by someone else. Zakah is only paid on that which you have complete control over. Complete control over. So someone will say, does that happen where the divorce occurs before the consummation and so on, and you only give them half? Yeah, it happens all the time. It can happen even on the wedding night. I've seen it before. I've seen it on the day of the wedding. I've seen videos. Day of the wedding. They have the wedding, okay, mashallah. She's in a white dress, he's in the black tuxedo or whatever, the suit. And on the way out, the zaffa, on the way out, the groom accidentally steps on the dress of his wife and rips the $10,000 dress. You ripped the dress, oh my God, what are you thinking? Watch where you're going, or are you blind? And they start yelling and fighting, and divorce occurs before they get to the hotel. So give me back that that $40,000, huh? So Muhim, Yani, it happens sometimes. The point is, this fourth condition is there has to be complete control over the wealth for you to pay zakah on it. Number 5, and this is the one we alluded to in the definition, at a specific time. You don't pay zakah automatically the second you get the wealth in your hand. The second, mashallah. And in Dubai, I see that Shaykh Muhammad knows he's in Dubai. Everyone gets a notification on their phone. The salary is put in your bank account. اسمه ايه يوم what's the name? الراتب نزل ولا. Anyway, the point is I keep seeing people get this notification. Oh, so happy that the salaries come in. You get a notification on your phone in Dubai. Salaries have gone in. And then 5 seconds later, you hear a bunch of other beeps. All the other bills are now being taken out of your bank account. And Muhim, Yani, the second I hear that beep, Yani, in Dubai, that the salary got in my bank account, do I have to pay zakah right away? No, there's a specific time. This is called the what? The hawl. We wait 1 lunar year to pass on the money. Now, this is an important question. Do I pay zakah on the income that I'm making or on my savings? What do I pay zakah on? Savings. In America, we pay taxes on what? Your income. So there's a difference. So if in your savings 1 year has passed on your savings, 1 lunar year. This is different than a 1 Gregorian year. Talk about 1 lunar year. Because if you're going to use the Gregorian calendar, you're going to calculate zakah differently. Instead of 2.5%, it's going to be more. So if you're paying 2.5% on that cash, on your savings, it's 1 lunar year passes. If you have the minimum nisab, we said, which is $400 and something, $500, whatever, and 1 year has passed, and that money has not dipped throughout the year below the nisab, because if it dips below the nisab at any point in the year, the clock stops. The clock stops. And then when you get your next paycheck or whatever, it goes back to $500, the new clock starts again. The clock has to continue uninterrupted on the nisab for 1 lunar year. That's when I pay the zakah. This is condition number 5. At a specific time, meaning the passing of 1 year. On the nisab, without that nisab decreasing below the nisab. without your savings decreasing below the nisab. Does that make sense? So if I have, $3,000 in my account, okay, and I have 2 months before my zakah is due, and then after 1 month, I got into a car accident and I had to pay to fix the car, and then my money's gone. Well, I've had the nisab for like 7 months or 8 months. Do I pay zakah? No, because it didn't complete 1 full year of you having that minimum amount. It dipped below. But then when I get the new paycheck and it goes back up, new clock starts for 1 year. Make sense? Like, is this for all the wealth that we mentioned, by the way? You have to wait 1 year for all these 4 categories? Or is this only for some types of wealth? The passing of the 1 year is only for gold, silver, currency, cattle, and trading goods. This is not for that which comes out of the ground. Why? Because crops will go bad. You don't wait a whole year. Crops, things which come out of the ground, there's another rule. You don't wait the 1 year. But the other things, you wait 1 year. But your cash, your gold, your silver, your trading goods, your cattle, you take into account the condition of the 1 year. As for the things that come out of the ground, they have their own ruling. Right? When we harvest it and so on, that's when we pay zakat. We don't wait 1 year because things could go bad. Okay? So the things that come out of the ground, that does not need 1 year. Also, related to paying zakat on your paychecks. Some types of wealth will take the 1 year of other wealth that came before it that's the same type as it. So I'll give you an example with cattle. If I had 100 sheep, and then 8 months into the 100 sheep, I'm going to pay zakat on the 100 sheep. It's met the nisab, right? But 8 months later, those sheep gave birth to more sheep. It gave birth to, let's say, 5 more sheep. Right. By the time I get to the 1 year of the 100 sheep, that 5 new sheep, did 1 year pass on them? No, maybe only 1 or 2 months, right? Do I still pay zakah on those 5 sheep? Yes, because that 5 sheep takes the same ruling as the 1 year of the original sheep it came from. So there's certain types of wealth that it will take the 1 year of other wealth like it. There's some types of wealth that will take the 1 year of other wealth like it. For example, I am in business. I invest my money, I buy and I sell. I started off with $10,000. Okay, my 1 year clock starts. By the end of the 1 year, subhanAllah, 5 months in, 6 months in, 7 months in, I made a profit from my investment, from my capital. And that 10,000 became 15,000. By the time the 1 year passed in the original 10,000, I now have 15,000 from profit. Did a whole year pass on the profit of $5,000? No. But I still give it the same 1 year as the original money it came from, which is the 10,000. So I would pay zakah on the full 15,000. So like I said, the default is we need 1 year, but there's some exceptions where some types of wealth, they don't need 1 year. That which comes out of the ground, like we said, they don't need 1 year. That which comes from an original source, like the cattle that gives birth and profit that comes from investment, you don't need to wait 1 year. It takes the 1 year of its original source. Yashi? But the default, in general, give a general rule, you need to wait 1 year for zakat to be due. These are the 5 conditions for zakat. That Islam, being free, having the nisab, complete control over the wealth, and the passing of 1 year. If you have those conditions, you have to pay zakah. If you don't have those conditions, one of them is missing or more, you don't have to pay zakah. Notice here, what condition is not mentioned in these conditions that we usually mention in ibadah? Al-aql, good, and one more. Good, yes. Usually when we say for acts of worship for, let's say fasting in Ramadan coming up, for Ramadan to be obligatory, from the conditions is that they have to be sane, not insane, and they have to reach the age of puberty, not little kids. Notice I didn't say that for zakah. For salah we say it, for fasting we say it, right? For a lot of acts of worship we say it. Notice I didn't say that for zakah. Does that mean something? The fact that I didn't say it, does that mean something? Yes, it does. It means, ya mashayikh, that zakah is due on the wealth even if you're a young child, even if you're insane. But who pays it from your wealth? Your guardian, your wali. So let's say a young boy inherited a lot of money. He has a lot of money. Do we pay zakat on that money? We still pay zakat on that money. Who is in charge of making sure the zakat gets out? The one in charge of that boy, the wali. So wealth is still due on minors, and still zakat is due on the wealth of the minors and the insane people and the like. Right? Like those. That's a quick summary. We have about 10 minutes left. That's a quick summary. Yeah. It's the same amount, same ruling. He has to have met 85 grams of gold or 595 grams of silver. Same. But he doesn't understand, like, how do I calculate it and pay it? But his dad or his guardian or whoever, he would do that for him. So orphans, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. MashaAllah. Great. May Allah keep him firm, mashallah. Amazing story. Jazakallah. So with the 10 minutes left now let's talk about some modern applications. Some modern applications of zakat. The most common question we always get is, how do I pay zakat on number one? My income, my paychecks, monthly paychecks. And number two, how do I pay zakat on stocks and 401k and mutual funds? So hopefully we can cover those two in 10 minutes. Number one, for your paychecks, we already mentioned, every time you get the nisab, and your paycheck comes now once every 2 weeks or once a month, usually the paycheck will be more than the amount that is the nisab, which technically would mean a one whole year clock starts for that amount. Like with so many paychecks coming in, it's hard to calculate all these different 1 years. You'd have to have a very long, Excel sheet that the paycheck I got on January 1st, there's a 1 year clock starting, and the one I got on January 15, another 1 year clock is starting, and so you'll have all these different things you have to track. That's too difficult. So I'll make it very simple. Pick one day out of the year, and maybe make it, 1st of Ramadan or 15th of Ramadan, something that you won't forget. Pick the one day out of the year, and every time this day comes, you look at your entire balance. Look at how much money I have in my account. What are the loans and debts and bills I have to pay that I subtract? And then how many debts are owed to me? Who owes me money? I add it to the amount. And then you pay 2.5% on it. Very simple. Let's say every Ramadan 15, I pay my zakat. I look in my account. Okay, I have $10,000. But I owe $3,000. I subtract $3,000. So I only have really $7,000. But this person's going to give me $1,000. He owes me $1,000. So now I have $8,000. I pay 2.5%. That's all you have to do. Make it simple. Pick one day out of the year, but keep it consistent. Don't change the day. If you want to pay your zakat early, you can, but you cannot delay paying your zakat. You can pay your zakat early, but you can't pay it late. So keep that same day consistent every year. Look at your entire balance. Look at your income, subtract your debts and your bills, include the debts that are owed to you, and pay 2.5%. That's the easiest way to do it. Right? Now, when it comes to paying zakat on your stocks and your 401k and your retirement funds, firstly, let's start with stocks, because stocks is going to lead us to talk about 401k. When it comes to stocks, people who engage in stocks are of two types. We have those who are like day traders, those who are buying to sell them to make a profit. They want to buy them and sell them quick, always checking the price, right? Always looking at, stock market going up and down. His blood pressure goes up and down with the market every day, right? That's called a day trader. That's called a day trader. He buys knowing he's going to sell it to make a profit. He's not intending to keep it. This, we're going to trade his stocks like trading goods. We're going to treat his stocks like urud tijara. So, on your zakat due date, what are you going to do? Look at the worth of your stocks and pay 2.5% of it. Let's say I bought a stock as a person with the intention of buying it and selling it for a profit. When I bought it, it was $10. On my zakat due date, now my stocks, the worth of them went up to $20. Then I would pay zakat on $20. This is for the day trader. This is one type. This is easy. One type of stocks. The second type of people who deal with stocks are those who buy stocks for the long run. They're in it for the dividends. They're long run investors. So here, the ulama, they differed greatly how to deal with it. But we'll give you one opinion, inshallah, that inshallah you can take. And that is, you are going to pay zakat on that stock in accordance with the percentage of the zakatable assets of the company you have a stock. Again, I'll say that again. You are going to pay zakah on that stock in accordance with the percentage of the zakatable assets that company owns that you invested in. So for example, I invested in Apple for the long run. We look at what assets that does Apple have that are zakatable from the 4 categories we mentioned. Apple, the things that they own. Because when I invest in a company, that makes me what? A part owner. Okay? So I am a part owner of Apple. Now, here, Apple doesn't own everything that is zakatable. They have tables and they have chairs, they have buildings, they have machinery, they have cars. So they have things that aren't zakatable. And they have things that are zakatable. They have cash, maybe they have gold and silver. They definitely have trading goods that they sell, right? So I want to see, what does Apple own, the percentage of their assets that are zakatable? Because I'm going to pay zakat on my stock, only the percent that is in accordance with the zakatable percentage assets. Mashi? So here, I'll give you an example. Let's say I bought a stock in Apple for the long run for $100. And then I look at the financial reports of Apple. And I see that they have 10% gold reserve, 10% silver, 10% cash, 10% trading goods, whatever. Okay? I see that, for example, I don't know, they may even have some sheep somewhere. 10% sheep, okay? Apple sheep. All right? So now they have 50% zakatable assets. The rest of their assets are tables and chairs and cars and machinery. The other 50% non-zakatable assets. So my $100 share, I would only pay zakat on 50% of my share because that's only the percentage that's zakatable assets that they own. So I would pay 2.5% on 50% of my $100 share, not the full 100, because not all of the 100 is zakatable. That's a very that's of course a very simple example because it's only one stock, one company. Now, but that gives you the idea. So now this will lead us to your 401k and so on, and mutual funds and the like. Mutual funds, same thing like I said for stocks, but it's harder because you have a bunch of stocks in different companies at the same time. So if you're not financially savvy, you don't have the ability to read the report. If you are not financially savvy, you don't have the ability to read the reports yourself and decipher and calculate, then if you can't get a financial advisor who can tell you and read and calculate, then you can estimate that 1/3 of those companies is zakatable asset. Because some of our mashayikh, they asked some financial experts, people who are experts in stock market. They said, about how much of the stock market is zakatable? They said 1/3. You look at these different companies in the stock market and their assets, about 1/3 of these assets are zakatable. And 70% of these assets are not zakatable. So you can estimate 1/3 if you're not able to calculate, or you can't find someone to calculate for you. So in our example, we said it was 50%, because we calculate 50% on the $100 share. But let's say you weren't able to calculate, you can estimate 30% only. I only pay zakat 30%. Make sense? Now, take the same information I just gave you, and now we're going to move over to 401k, and we'll end with this because time is up. 401k is the same in that your 401k is made up of stocks only because we're not allowed to invest in bonds and other financial instruments. Usually they have haram in it. The only thing you can invest in really is stocks. Hatta stocks is controversial, but we allow it in America. The fiqh councils in America allow stocks with conditions because there's no other financial instrument to invest in. So you invest in stocks. Like we said about your 401k. Now there are many opinions on how do you pay zakah on your 401k. We'll just give you one opinion. And that is, your 401k, when you want to access your money on your 401k, like we said, you won't be able to access your 401k until a certain age of retirement and the like. If you wanted to access your 401k right now, you would be hit with 40% of taxes and penalties. So in reality, the only amount you can access your 401k is 60%. In reality, you can only access 60%. So in reality, you're only paying zakah on 60% of what you can access. Every year, you're only going to pay zakah on your 401k. Yes, every year we'll take the position, you pay zakah on your 401k. But the whole 100% of your 401k, no. Only the amount you can access after taxes and penalties. Like we said, min shurut wujub zakah tamamul milk. From the conditions of the obligation of zakah is complete ownership. And you don't have ownership on the 40% that's taken away from you. You only have complete ownership if I wanted to cash out right now, 60% of my 401k. So you only can pay zakah on your 401k. Hold on. On 60% of your 401k. But that 60%, like we said, 60% of your 401k, is it all zakatable assets? Exactly. Allah yaftah alayk. Faqih right there. MashaAllah, the mind. You're not going to have all 60% because 60% of those companies, like we said, some of it is tables, some of it is machinery, some of it is chairs, some of it. So you're only going to pay, actually, if we're going to estimate, like if you can't calculate it, we said you can estimate, you're paying actually only zakah on 30% of that 60% that you could have accessed. Does that make sense? So in actuality, the total comes out to 20%. You're paying zakah on 20% of your total 401k. 20% of that, 20% of your 401k, I'm paying 2.5% of the 20%, right? So I pay zakah 2.5% on the 20%. 2.5% of 20% is 0.5%. So if you want to remember one number, is I pay every year 0.5% of my 401k. Does that make sense? We have our fathers and uncles here, they're engineers, so yeah, it should be easy. And you kids, all your parents want you to become engineers, so it should also be easy. MashaAllah. Either doctor or engineer. Yeah. Either way, you have to do advanced calculation. 0.5% of your 401k. Make sense? Right. We have now, time is up, and alhamdulillah, we finished the theoretical, al-talkhis al-nadari, the summary, theoretical summary of zakah rulings. We talked about some of the nawazil, some of the modern issues. And so alhamdulillah, we finished right on time. So we'll stop here, and we'll let the next session start, inshallah. No? Arhamni tayyib. 110. خلاص. We'll open it up now to questions Q&A. اي حاجه سخنه الزور. طيب انا صوتي اتنبه. ايوه طيب ماشي. Questions.
So the question is, can you pay zakah to your brother or sister if they have financial problems?
The ulama, they differed when it comes to the relatives. Who can you pay relatives for? If they're poor, if they're needy, if they fall under one of these conditions. Who is the relative you can pay the zakat for? And we'll give you just one opinion, and this is the correct position, inshallah. Then yes, you can give zakah to your brothers and your sisters and your uncles and your aunts, those who are in need of financial help. The only ones you cannot, from your relatives, give zakat to are the usul and the furu'a. Your ancestors and your descendants. Your parents and your grandparents going up, and your children and your grandchildren going down. Why? Because those are people you are financially responsible for if they're needy in the first place. If your parents are in need of money, you were without giving zakah, you are already financially responsible for giving them help. And so it's as if you're giving zakah back to yourself. I have to pay zakah anyway, and I have to pay them anyway because I'm financially responsible. So I'm going, instead of paying twice, paying what I have to give to my parents and then giving someone else's zakah, I'm going to pay once, right? I'm going to take care of their needs with my zakah. You can't do that. So yes, you can give your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle. You can give your other relatives who are in need according to the correct position, inshallah. Again, if you heard otherwise, it's because there is khilaf amongst the ulama. But inshallah, you can. The only ones you cannot give to zakah for are your usul and your furu', your descendants and ancestors. But this is if only, with a caveat, put an asterisk. This is only if they are because they are poor or needy. If they are poor or needy, then you cannot give them from the zakah. You have to give them from the nafaqah, wajiba. You have to give them from your obligatory spending. But if it's because of another issue, like they have debts, here you can give them from the zakah. Why? Someone answer this. Why? No. But we said the illah, the reason why I didn't give them zakah when they were poor and needy is because I had to spend on them when they're poor and needy. Why, when they're in debt, I can give them from the zakah? It's because it's not obligatory upon you to pay the debt of your parents. It's obligatory upon you to give them the obligatory spending if they're in need. Housing, food, drink, clothing. But if your dad is in debt, you don't have to pay his debt. Of course, that's great if you do. Right? May Allah reward you. But shar'i wise, must I pay the debts of my parents? You don't have to. Then, because I'm not financially responsible for them in this situation, I can give them from the zakah in that situation as people who are in debt. But if it's because they're needy, because the question came with needy, then we'll stick to that, poor and needy. Then the question is, in that case, you can give to your brothers and sisters, but you can't give to your parents, and you can't give to your children. No. Yeah, are we going with the questions, or? They have to be Muslim except for the category of those whom their hearts can be reconciled. Remember, we said there's a category where there can be people who are non-Muslim, but if we give them from the zakat, it strengthens their heart, softens it, and makes them want to accept Islam. That is the only category. Other than that, all the other categories have to be Muslim. As opposed to sadaqah. Sadaqah you can give to Muslim and non-Muslim. So if you want to give sadaqah to a non-Muslim, no problem. But zakat, only for Muslim except for that category. How do we pay zakat on investment property? So investment property, like we said, if you bought it to sell it, you're in real estate. That's what we're talking about. If I bought land, I'm investing in land, whether the house is already made or I'm investing in the land and I'm still building on the land to sell it. Because investing is a vague word. Are you investing in something to sell and make profit, or are you investing in it to keep for yourself, to live on it in your future, to have your kids live on it? For example, in Egypt, we will buy land, and that's for in the future when I have kids and my kids are at the marriage age, we build a big family house, and all my kids with their family, they live on a different floor, and right? So what do we mean by investment? If you mean investment to make money and profit, which is I'm assuming this is what is meant, then falls under the category of trading goods. If I bought property, and this property is to be sold like real estate to make money, then you're going to calculate the value of this property and the house on it, even if it's not complete yet. We'll look at this stage of the project, how much would it be worth? And you would calculate its market value every year on your zakat due date and pay 2.5%. But if that property is to rent out, that's another issue. We differentiate between selling and renting. Selling and leasing. These are two different things. If I have an apartment building, to lease it out, that's different. If I lease out an apartment, you don't pay zakat according to more correct position on the building itself or the apartment itself. I would pay zakat only on what? The rent, mumtaz. The cash coming in, I put it with the other cash I have, and that falls on the category of currency. But I don't pay zakat on the building itself or the car itself as a taxi driver, right? That I'm renting out to make money and so on. That you don't pay zakat on as an asset. But if I bought the building to sell it, I invested in real estate to sell it, then it's like any other trading good, like we said, with the condition. What is the definition of a trading good? Is that I bought it at the time of purchase with the intention of selling it to make a profit at that time. Not that I bought it now and maybe I will sell it later. La. Maybe. Any taraddud, any shak, any doubt, I may buy it, I may keep it, I may sell it, I may keep it. You don't pay zakah on it as a trading good. If you end up selling it then you would pay zakah on the cash that you get like anything else. According to the vast majority of the ulama, if, let's say I bought something. I bought this iPhone. 3 months later, I want to get, for whatever reason, I want to buy an Android. I don't know why you would do that, but something happened to my mind. So I have, I want to sell my phone now. I want to get an Android. Machine. So here, does this become now? I put it on the market. I put it on. Do we still have Craigslist? Do people still use Craigslist? Well, on Dima, oh yeah, old age. ما فيش حاجة اسمها Craigslist anymore, صح? Marketplace, ماشي. What, is that a site called Marketplace? Oh, I thought you meant Marketplace like سوق التجارة يعني. Real Marketplace. طيب واضح ان انا عايش في قرون. طيب نعم شيخنا. الله اكبر. الله اكبر. الله اكبر. جزاك الله خير شيخ. ما شاء الله. You get a finder's fee, Shaykh, ولا? So, Mashaykh, if let's say, I didn't buy it in the beginning with the intention of selling it, but 6 months later, I do want to sell it now. I put it on the marketplace or whatever it's called, right? And I give it for $1,000, I'm selling it. Does it become urud tijara now? Does it become trading goods now? Every year I pay zakah on it? It's for sale now, 100% for sale. I decided now, not when I bought it, but now I changed my mind and I'm selling it and I put it on the marketplace. Does it become urud tijara now? Do I pay zakah on it every year like urud tijara, like trading goods? According to the vast majority of ulama, no. Changing your intention from personal usage and personal property to now putting it on the market to sell it does not make it urud tijara, and you don't pay zakah on it according to the vast majority of ulama, except one riwayah on Imam Ahmed, and this was a position chosen by Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen. But other than that, the vast majority of ulama say no. You don't pay zakah on it every year like trading goods. You would only pay zakah on the cash once you sell it. Now, this brings us up to another issue. Some of you may have some things that are out of fashion. You want to sell it, and you put it on the market. It's been 20 years and no one wants it. Like maybe a DVD player or something, right? Or I don't know. Things that no one uses anymore. Things that our kids never heard of. A TV that has a back, right? You know those TVs that have a back? What do you mean has a back? Or like Sheikh Abdullah was making the rotary, what's it called? I don't even know. Rotary phone, yeah. The one that, yeah. The actual, yeah. Some of these things, okay, I've had it in my garage for 10 years now. I want to put it in a junk sale. I want to sell it. I put it on eBay or whatever for 10 years. No one wants it. Do I have to pay zakah on it now? So these things that no one wants, like I said, if you originally had it for yourself and then you put it on the market, it's not trading goods. But let's say you are a businessman and I bought wholesale a bunch of TVs with a back or whatever, the not a smart TV, the old TVs. I bought it 10 years ago and I still have it in storage, and I had bought them not for me, I bought them to sell them, but no one bought them for 10, 20 years, no one's buying them. And every year it's a trading good and it's there for sale. Every year I'm paying zakah, every year for 20 years. How do we get out of this? No one's ever going to buy them, and it's always for sale, and I don't want to just throw them away and lose. Fi makhraj. There's one way out, and this is the position amongst the Maliki madhab. They say these trading good sales that have gone out of fashion, no one wants it anymore. Then we have an opinion. They say you don't pay zakah every year as trading goods. You pay zakah just for 1 year when you sell it. That way you don't have to be paying 20 goods for these trading goods zakah for 20, 30 years. So if you can find someone to buy it from you, maybe someone will buy it to take it apart to use some of the wires inside or something, right? So that way you only pay zakah for that 1 year. Anyway, any other questions? Oh, yes, sir.